Hello everyone and welcome to Blog Runner Everything and welcome back to the channel and welcome to another video where we're going to be doing quite a lengthy roundup of news that we've seen from the past week. So there's been quite a lot happening. We're going to focus mostly on squad news and maybe transfer rumors here and there. Also, we'll talk about some of the latest developments in as far as Barcelona's preseason tour, which we know was supposed to have kicked off by now, but unfortunately the match against Juventus that was scheduled for tonight or today in the morning, depending on where you're watching from, has been cancelled. We'll talk in detail about what exactly happened there. We'll also get into some rather interesting transfer rumors that we have been hearing, things that have come out of nowhere like Joao Felix and other rumors that have come and gone, and I don't know if they'll be back again, like Federico, Chiesa, and there's just so much happening for FC Barcelona. And of course, there have been exits as well, so we will talk about all of that in detail. So if at any point you enjoy what you're seeing here and you feel like this could be a thing that you could make a part of your daily routine, then please do feel free to go ahead and hit that like button or hit that subscribe button so that you do not miss out on further content like this. Anywho, we're going to start with, I think, the biggest news so far that there is, the news which broke on Friday evening, and that was of course Barcelona announcing their captains for the season. Now, for those of you who might not be aware, like in case you've just started watching football today, FC Barcelona's captains as of last season were Gerard Piqué, Jordi Alba, Sergio Busquets, and Sergio Roberto. And for those of you who might be, less caught up than the guys who didn't even know who Barcelona's captains were, you would not be aware perhaps that three of those players in Busquets, Piqué, and Alba have left FC Barcelona. So that left Barcelona with quite a bit of work to do in as far as assigning new captains is concerned, and we finally got that announcement of who the new captains are going to be. First captain is going to be Sergio Roberto, which it's not really surprising, he's the only one left from the last group of captains. Then the second captain, or the vice captain, is going to be Marc-Andre ter Stegen, with the third captain being Ronald Araujo, and the fourth captain being Frenkie de Jong. Now, when all of these were announced, I was admittedly a bit surprised that Robert Lewandowski didn't feature here, but I guess, he's only been at the club for one season, so they did give preference to the guys who've been here much longer than that. And looking at that lineup of captains, honestly speaking, I've got no problem with this at all. I mean, sure, some people will be like, oh, Sergio Roberto this and that, but when you sit back and think about the fact that he's actually not going to be in the starting 11 majority of the time, so meaning that the captain is most likely going to be Marc-Andre ter Stegen for most of the fixtures that FC Barcelona play. I've got no problem with that, honestly speaking. I think ter Stegen has been deserving of this in particular. He should have been added here probably way before now. I thought he could have been the fourth captain instead of Roberto, but it is what it is. Being Catalan does count for something. Anywho, we're going to move on from that news about the captains, and let's talk about this news that broke about FC Barcelona's first match of preseason that was going to be against Juventus being cancelled. So, according to Barca's official Twitter, we could see here, and also it's there on their website, the announcement is that players have been hit with a stomach bug, basically. So whether or not it's food poisoning, I don't know. I can't really say for sure. But the thing that I can say for sure is that the match against Juventus is not going to be going forward as scheduled. It's been cancelled. We'll see exactly what that means for the rest of Barca's preseason. Will this match be rescheduled? You'd think they'll probably want to reschedule it because, it's a lot of money to be leaving on the table for both Barcelona and Juventus in particular. It's a lot of money to be leaving on the table. So, we hear, of course, how this is going to evolve, how it's going to progress. But speaking of FC Barcelona and Juventus, this preseason friendly is not the only bit of business or a bit of news that's come up regarding the two teams. During the week, we did, of course, see a news coming from Calcio Mercato saying that Juventus would be very much willing to do a swap deal with FC Barcelona because, the last swap deal between these two teams famously went well. So this time around, Juventus were offering FC Barcelona the services of Federico Chiesa, and the player who they wanted to get in exchange for him is Frank Kessie. Now, like I had said, this was just a story that was reported by Calcio Mercato. Beyond that, we've not seen any other people, speaking about it, not even Fabrizio Romano, who is Italian. And generally speaking, it's not been treated by most of the news aggregators that I trust. It's not really been treated by them as something that's a serious lead. So just like it came, it did, of course, disappear. But another story that came but is refusing to disappear is that, of course, of Joao Felix. Now, we all know that Joao Felix is one of those players who we all kind of want on our team, but how much do we really want them on our teams? Anywho, Joao Felix himself came out and said to Fabrizio Romano that apparently it's always been his dream to play for FC Barcelona and that he would want that dream to come true at some point. So this was quite sus, to be quite honest, the way that it just came out of nowhere. The fact that he gave an exclusive to a guy who is, a transfer window guru, if you can put it that way, one of those OGs in the transfer window. The fact that he's coming out to him and is talking to him about this felt a bit sus. And the more you look into it, a few more details emerge, which again just make the whole thing look a bit weird. Like, for starters, we do know the fact that Atletico de Madrid's manager Diego Simeone and Joao Felix are not in good terms with each other at all. In fact, it's been reported that Simeone really wants rid of Felix, and even during training sessions, Felix has been playing as a goalkeeper rather than a forward. So, it's like Simeone is doing everything that he possibly can within his powers to tell Joao Felix that he is not welcome there. And Joao Felix, to his credit, I guess, has caught on to that message and has come out to, say all of this. But what adds to, the whole situation being sus is that we've heard a journalist, reputable journalist, Reina Condis, reporting Joao Felix was apparently coerced into doing that, into giving that interview with Romano, into talking about wanting to play for Barcelona. He was apparently coerced into doing that by the hierarchy at Atletico de Madrid. So, it's pretty weird, isn't it? And apparently Atletico think Barcelona are a team that can, fork out quite a bit of money for Joao Felix, which I find a bit funny because, everybody knows Barcelona's money situation right now, and as far as they can only spend so much because of FFP, even if they do have cash at hand, they can't use it because of FFP. The reason why is because they haven't had enough outgoings. We're hearing once again names like Ferran Torres and Frank Kessie coming up in, this transfer, this, supposed transfer for Joao Felix. Like, they could maybe go to Atleti on loan so Barca can get Joao Felix as well. But none of it makes sense anyway. From what I can tell, Atleti is just going to try and force Barcelona to pay their amortization and Joao Felix's wages the entire time is going to be at the club. So, I wouldn't take these reports concerning Joao Felix too seriously. And to really just back up my conclusion that these shouldn't be taken seriously, we've heard reports saying that Xavi Hernandez doesn't really see Joao Felix as a player whom he can find a spot for in our squad, even though he appreciates the quality of Joao Felix. Xavi seems to be more fixated on getting Bernardo Silva, who I think for Barca's purposes would definitely be the better Jorge Mendes signing to get. Now, speaking of Jorge Mendes, we can get into talking about some of the outgoing transfers that we've seen at FC Barcelona this coming week. And the first one that we have to mention has to, of course, be for Nico Gonzalez, who is himself a Jorge Mendes client. So Nico Gonzalez was informed by Xavi Hernandez that he's not going to have minutes in the team this season. So he's basically decided to go out and it's been decided it should be a permanent move because, with loan deals, sometimes the club that takes you on a loan might not want to, give you as many opportunities as they probably would if you were theirs. So it's going to be a permanent transfer to FC Porto for about 4 million euros that Barcelona is going to get out of it. And they have, of course, put in a buyback clause into the deal so that if Nico blows up, they can, just bring him back for cheaper than they would if they were just, signing him without that buyback clause being there. In addition to Nico Gonzalez going to FC Porto, though, we're also going to see Mexican wingback Julian Araujo join Nico Gonzalez with FC Porto. Now, I don't know if that's, part of the deal to take Nico there or not, but the Araujo deal is going to be a loan and not a permanent deal. So, hopefully he can follow in the footsteps of fellow Mexican fullback Miguel Layun, who had quite a good spell at FC Porto, and hopefully he can have a good spell there and come back maybe and play some good football for FC Barcelona. Aside from that, the other rumors that we have in as far as exits are concerned have to do with Clement Longley, who's of course still at FC Barcelona, but it's being reported that Barca are fairly confident that they'll be able to move him on because there is apparently interest from other clubs. Now, don't ask me who these other clubs are. I think it's probably just a negotiating ploy so they can get a bit more money out of Tottenham. But for me personally, I would have already taken whatever Tottenham were willing to give me and just let him go. But hopefully this doesn't come back to bite us in the back. Anywho, that's a lot of talking that we have done here. We've spoken about everything from preseason to the captains and all that other stuff, and some transfer rumors as well as exits. And for now, I think that's where I'm going to end this recap. Please do let me know your thoughts in the comments about all of these developments, including the preseason match with Juve being cancelled, and let me know exactly what you expect. Aside from that, I thank you all for tuning in. Do have a great day, and Forza Barca.